Conjuring is one of the most terrifying horror films of all time, but the events that inspired it, those were real, and reality is far more disturbing than fiction. In 1971, the Perron family moved into a 14-room farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island, seeking a quiet life. Instead, they became trapped inside one of the most well-documented hauntings in history. Whispers in the night, doors slamming on their own, shadows lurking in the corners of their vision. It started as small, unexplainable moments, but those moments soon turned into something much worse. This was no ordinary haunting, and when famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren arrived, they discovered a force so overwhelming that even they feared for their lives. The truth behind The Conjuring is deeper, darker, and far more horrifying than Hollywood ever showed, and tonight we uncover everything. Before the Warrens, before the media frenzy, before The Conjuring became a worldwide sensation, there was a family and a house that refused to let them go. Roger and Carolyn Perron, along with their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April, thought they had found their dream home. Isolated, historic, full of character. But the walls of this house carried a dark past, one that refused to stay buried. The land had seen tragedy after tragedy, suicides, murders, unexplained deaths, and every family that had lived there before had stories of terror, stories the Perrons were never told. Within days of moving in, the daughters began experiencing strange occurrences. The smell of rotting flesh drifting through empty rooms, disembodied voices calling their names, the sound of footsteps pacing just outside their doors at night. At first, they tried to dismiss it. Maybe it was the old pipes. Maybe it was just the wind, but then the bruises started appearing. Carolyn Perron woke up covered in bruises, as if unseen hands had grabbed her in the night. The air in the house grew thick, suffocating. And then, one night, as the clock struck 3 a.m., one of the daughters saw it. A woman standing in the corner of the room, eyes black, skin gray, watching. But who or what was she, and why was she here? The answer would change their lives forever. Whatever was in the house, it wanted them to know it was there. The strange occurrences became impossible to ignore. Objects moved on their own. Doors slammed shut without warning. And then there were the voices. Disembodied murmurs echoed through the house, calling the Perron daughters by name. The family was no longer alone. But it was Carolyn Perron who suffered the most. Something had fixated on her. Her body grew weak, her skin turned pale, and the bruises worsened. She spoke of an invisible force, watching, waiting, draining her strength. And then, one night, she finally saw it. A woman, hollow eyes, a twisted, broken face, a spirit filled with hatred, and it had a name. Bathsheba Sherman, a name lost to time, but not to the dead. Local legends claimed she had been a witch, that she had cursed the land before taking her own life, and now she had returned, and she wanted Carolyn Perron. The attacks became violent. Carolyn was thrown across rooms, choked by unseen hands, her voice no longer her own. Terrified, the Perron family reached out to 2 of the only people in the world who might believe them, Ed and Lorraine Warren. What the Warrens found inside that house shook them to their core. A presence unlike any other, a force that seemed to grow stronger with every moment. And then, the exorcism began. The night of the exorcism, the house became a battleground. Lorraine Warren described witnessing something she could never forget. Carolyn's body convulsing, her voice turning guttural, as if something else was inside her. And then, as suddenly as it started, it ended. Carolyn collapsed. The air in the house grew still. The entity had retreated, but had it truly left? The Perron family stayed in the house for years, unable to leave due to financial struggles, and though the attacks faded, they never truly stopped. The Conjuring told a version of this story, but the real truth? That's for you to decide. Do you believe the Perron family's terrifying encounters, or was it something else? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think this story was chilling, just wait until you hear what's coming next.